They kept throwing in people to like cause distractions and try to cover it up and just do it in very slick ways. I kind of feel like Marcus is being thrown back and forth in my life as like some sort of distraction or something. But I'm not exactly sure because I've had some visions about Marcus, but he's not the man that I have conceived by. And I kind of started to feel like he was a Satanist, like he was just kind of playing me a lot of the time, but that's not really what I'm making this video about. For me, I kind of feel like I just need to clarify and continue to clarify who my child's father is, because it's like they're trying to make all these black men be around to try to cover up the racist stuff that they did and who my child's father really is. Because Marcus and my child father have similar so-called histories to where it's almost like they were trying to make it seem like Marcus was my baby daddy, like Marcus was the man who I had a baby by, like, like trying to make it seem like Austin was nowhere even in the scenario. Y'all know I have put out so much evidence showing who my child's father is. But it just seemed like a bit of a setup because my child father, Austin John Meador, was on probation for assault on a public servant. Marcus Mitchell was on probation for, I guess, aggravated assault where he pulled out a knife on a security guard. So if you see that's a black man and that's a white man, my baby daddy is white. He also was on probation for assault where he assaulted a correctional guard while he was incarcerated for hurting me. So there was also a conviction. My child's father, white Caucasian male Austin John Meador, was convicted for assault on a public servant in Conroe, Texas. Marcus is saying he's from Texas, but I met him here in Atlanta when I came from Atlanta after they ran me from Texas. But he's not my child's father, and I did not know him prior to February 14th, 2021, and I was with my child's father since October, November of 2015. I did not know of a Marcus Mitchell. And Austin was abusing me since 2015. And I went to jail in 2018 for protecting myself from him. And they tried to cover it up and blame it on a black man. But another thing was that Marcus has bipolar disorder, and so does Austin. Austin John Meador, white Caucasian male, who I have a son with and I conceived by. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and some other mental disorders where he's required to take medication, and he was not taking the medication throughout the entire relationship when he was abusing me in the home. After he was released on the assault charge for assault on a public servant, where he had been incarcerated for an assault family violence charge from abusing me in 2015. He abused a public servant in the facility while he was incarcerated for the assault family violence charge, and he was ordered by his probation officer after they put him on a 2-year felony probation for assault on a public servant that he needed to go to Tri-County and take the medication for the bipolar disorder. And he never did follow up with the doctors who he was ordered to see from the Tri-County office. And Marcus Mitchell is a black male that I met in Atlanta, Georgia, February 14th. And I didn't know originally, but he told me that he was on probation and that he had told the people in the jail that he would take medication, that they had diagnosed him as bipolar or whatever, and that he would take medication so he didn't have to go to prison and do the prison sentence. So he was saying that all he had to pretty much do was get a shot, and that they gave him an apartment and stuff like that. So that's when I started to see, I figured, I said, no, I think they're trying to fool people on my channel and make people think that my child's father is black. My child's father is a white Caucasian male named Austin John Meador, and he has bipolar disorder, and he has not been taking medication for it. And he's been abusing me. Marcus Mitchell is a black male that I met in Atlanta, Georgia, February 14, 2021, after I started putting out the information about my white Caucasian father abusing me, who I was with from October, November 2015. So it's like they were trying to throw in a black male with the same charges or story, and then with the same mental disorder, and then to make it seem like he was taking medication, and then change the narrative. The apartment was my apartment in Conroe, Texas. Austin John Meador got out of prison and came into my apartment where me and my son were living. Marcus Mitchell is a black male who brought me into his apartment after I ended up homeless, after the white Caucasian male was abusing me and vandalizing my home and abusing my child. So then Marcus Mitchell attempted to start abusing me. Austin was raping me in my apartment and forcing me to have sex with him. He is the white Caucasian male who I have the children with. But Marcus Mitchell is a black male who brought me into his home from the West End Mall after they left me homeless out on the streets. And he brought me into his home. I was already with child, and had been putting out the information about my case, and he was telling me that I had to have sex with him or that he would put me out on the streets. So he was also kind of manipulatively forcing me to engage in sexual activities with him in the beginning of that relationship. So it's like they were just trying to put in a black male and make him have the same character traits and try to paint the same story, but then also use him to try to sabotage my image in the media. And then also make it seem like he was the one who I was really in love with. I was really in love with Austin John Meador, the white Caucasian male who I have the children by. And Marcus Mitchell just kind of fell in there because I was homeless, putting out the information about me and my children, after the litigation abuse that I endured from the white courtroom, and Austin John Meador and his white Caucasian family. And then so Marcus Mitchell started yelling at me and calling me bitch and things like that inside of the apartment. Austin, he would yell at me. They lied in the bond hearing when I was arrested for protecting myself and said that I hurt Austin after he just yelled at me and called me a bitch in my home, which was a lie. He was attacking me in front of people. And there were witnesses, and people who also tried to lie about what they didn't see, and people that did tell the truth about what they did see him doing, they withheld those statements from the media and from the police reports, and then also withheld them in the courtroom as well. Austin was calling me bitch and all of that, but he was also attacking me. And it was as if they were trying to use Marcus Mitchell to just call me names and stuff and make it seem like I was exaggerating the stuff that my white baby daddy was actually doing. And I just needed to clarify that Marcus Mitchell is not my child's father. And I already had him admit that he was not the father of any of my children. And God said that my white Caucasian child's father, Austin John Meador, I'm sorry, I get so tongue tied because I keep having to say that so that people won't try to blame a black man for being the person who was abusing me in my home. It was Austin John Meador, and he's a white Caucasian male. And like all the blacks are trying to lie and protect him who were trying to mess with my case, God said that my child's father, the white Caucasian male, Austin John Meador, that he would learn a lot of lessons in jail for abusing women. And God said that was my apartment where he was hurting me in. And God said that me and my son qualify for HUD and all sorts of assistance. And God said, let the bullet in his